I'm Jesse Harris with Nichols, and I'm training today on how to import records into Koha. So we will be going over how to do that through the Z39 search within Next or Koha, how to import from ShareIt, and how to import from Record Manager, which is owned by OCLC. And so all of you should have that OCLC Record Manager capability if you're using Next. Um, Nichols covers that for you. It is 50 cents to import a record. Nichols covers the cost. It's more about like $3. But we only charge our libraries 50 cents just so things aren't being imported, directly from OCLC for everything because we can find almost everything we need through the Z39 search. And we also get to import records for free from ShareIt. But we do want to use OCLC when we can't find records elsewhere just because it is a quality resource and it's just a better resource than to create a brief record or to create a record from scratch. So, and we won't be going over the brief record today, but we will be going over how to import those records and doing what's called copy cataloging rather than original cataloging, which would be those brief records from scratch. So, and if you all do not have a basic cataloging manual for Nichols, yours is probably prettier than mine, probably spiral bound. Robin handed those out to our libraries. But if you don't have a copy of that, let me know and I'll get that to you because it is very useful and needed to keep us all kind of on the same page of what is needed for our oh, I met somebody for our shared catalog. So let's go ahead and hop in. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Make sure I know which one I'm on. I apologize. I've got Koha screens open, so let me change this here so I know where I'm at. Okay. All right. And if I lose track of anybody, let me know. I want to make sure to get this chat open. Sorry, it's disappearing on me there. Okay, so I have two books that I know that are not in our next catalog, but beyond that, we're going to have to suspend our belief here. And even though we'll probably see it in the Z39 search and possibly even share it, we're going to pretend as we go along that it's not there. So what you'll do when you want to start cataloging is you've got the item in your hand and you will click Search Catalog and look for the ISBN number. And like I said, we know this one's not in there, so we'll do the Z39 search. And is everyone seeing this pop-up window? The Z3950? I'm going to assume that's yes, unless nobody says no. Um, so I'll click this search. Sorry, it's taking a little bit. Oh, thank you, Connie. Okay, so it looks like several libraries have this in our Z39 search that we have access to, which is great. So let's see. I know that it's 143 pages here, and it is the 28 centimeters. This is the version that I want, but it's always best to click on this MARC record just to see that it's a quality MARC record that you need. And again, that basic cataloging manual will help you decide what is a quality record. So always have that handy. So we've decided, yes, this is what we want. That's the record. From here, you'll just click this up arrow and click import. I'm not going to do that right now just because I don't want to import this record into Koha just to delete it. I will be doing that later when we're going through the share it and record manager cataloging, just because you'll be able to see that full process from there. But if you were to click import, what it would do is go to the record, or I think this actually might, you know what, we're just going to do it. We're going to import it, and then we'll delete the record because I want to see exactly and show you where it goes. Okay, so yeah, it does go to the record page. So you would be able to um, edit the record before you save it, and then you will add the item after that. So I'm going to keep this page open so I can delete that later. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about how to import records from the Z39 search? You just, again, search the catalog. If it's not there, you can also search by title just to double check. But as you'll see with our basic cataloging manual, we're no longer grouping. Let's see, sorry, there's a question in the chat. Oh, okay. Um, Still stuck on the search results, not showing share. Yes, we're not in share it yet. Um, okay, sorry, lost my train of thought. Um, oh yes. So because we are no longer grouping like items, in the past we would pair additions together. For instance, if there was 10 copies of Jane Austen's Emma, it wouldn't matter what edition because we wanted to group them together because our patrons usually did not care what edition they got. Also, it was just easier for them to find. However, that's not good or appropriate cataloging. Because if somebody wanted a very specific item, they would see all of those items under one record. So when they go to request it, it could be any of those 10, and they wanted that very specific one with that specific forward or whatever reason for them wanting that specific item. And so since Aspen kind of aggregates all of that together for us, now we're going back to kind of the correct way to catalog and having them be separate items. So if you don't find something by an ISBN, you could still search just to have an idea of what is available in the catalog, just to be clear. But it's likely that you're going to need to import a record from somewhere else. So just something to think about. Okay, so since I'm not seeing any questions about the Z39 search, you guys are probably pretty familiar with that. From here, we're going to go into importing records from outside of Koha. So the process, the for once you get back into Koha will be the same for Share and OCLC Record Manager. So I'll just show you how we're going to be downloading those records first before you see what it looks like to then import those records. So I'll show you with Share It because this is the next step. I just kind of wanted you guys to see the workflow. You can't find it in Next, the Z39 search. So now we're going to go find it in Share It. So mine pops up to this advanced page right away, but you might need to click on this advanced search button here. I will search by ISBN. Okay. And if you only use Share It for cataloging purposes, just so you know, it will pop up a couple search results right away, just so that way the page can populate. It's very strange. So it's not all the results all at once. So you have to click this update and then it will list all of them. Sometimes, like if it's something that's really popular, you'd see when you're requesting, say like for the Crawdad Sing or something, there would be, hundreds of books available. So it would really populate there. Um, so let's see. Most likely, just from a quick glance, it looks like either of these is what I want, but I'm gonna click on them so I could see the MARC record. So assuming this is everything that I want, all you have to do is go to the left here and click download record, and that's it. So pretty easy. Just click download record. You see it pop up here in my downloads, and I can import it now into Koha. I'm not going to do that yet because I want to show you how to do that from Record Manager because it is a longer process. Um, but this is how you do that from Share It. So pretty easy peasy, just download. Now it's waiting, and you would know, you would just go into um, Koha to then import it from there. So before we move on, does anyone have any questions about Share It? Um, and you can always contact me later as well if you're, needing some guidance or if you want to walk through this or have a book in your hand while we do that process, let me know. But since I'm not seeing anything, okay. So now we will go to Record Manager OCLC. So this may be what it looks like once you've signed in. If you have not created your account, you do, like I said, Nichols has that set up for you on the back end, but you will need to go through OCLC to set up that account. We can't do that for you. They contact or communicate with you directly, and your link will be specific to your library. So there's not like a generic login. You'll need your specific link and login information to then access your record manager. Um, it used to be that you had to have a different record manager um, login completely, but now they've integrated it. So I still have that role or that login to do record manager, but I'm able to also access my interlibrary loan on the same window. Um, so not all of you have World Share. I would bet most of you do not through OCLC, but if you see it, that's what these separate tabs are. So most of you probably won't have that interlibrary loan tab. So what we'll do is go to metadata. That's where your record manager will be. And you see that here, record manager, hit that down arrow. And we'll start with advanced search. Also, some of you may remember OCLC Classify when you were looking for information about, Dewey Decimal numbers or Cutter numbers, Library of Congress Cutter numbers. Um, that has now, they encourage people to now use Record Manager for that resource. So you're able to just search Record Manager for free, if you have access to that resource. So feel free to do that when you're looking for cataloging information in that way. But once you set something to export, and I'll show you where that's at, that's when it'll trigger that $3 charge, which, like I said, Nichols only charges our libraries 50 cents per record. We cover most of the cost, but just something to think about. Um, okay, so I'll change that to ISBN. But I have gotten lucky searching by title, especially for something obscure like self-published or just kind of a strange item or format. I sometimes have more luck with title and author or creator, depending on the situation. But if it's a book, almost always your best bet is going to start with the ISBN number. Also, because we want you to be importing the appropriate record. So as you can see here, even though I scanned a physical book, the top option is an ebook. So we know that's not what we want. Don't import an ebook and then try to change it to a physical item. You want to import the correct format, and all of that's in the basic cataloging manual. So like I said, don't forget to look through that when you're importing records. However, it is usually a good sign when you see that a lot of libraries have imported a record. It's not foolproof, so still double check. But usually that means that a lot of libraries have double checked that it's a quality record. So we'll go ahead and click on it just to double check to see if it's what we want. Okay. And so we've decided we want this record. So we're going to click Set Holding and Export. Now, if this is something that is in your collection, or you want to add to your collection, but you know it's not in Next, but it's not letting you set, hold, and export, this has been grayed out. It's possible that someone in the past had um, imported that record into Next, and that item lived its life and was then deleted from Next, and so was the record. However, OCLC has the memory of you purchasing that item. So what you would do is delete it and then you would be able to set, hold, and export, and I'll show you that at the end. I just want you to keep an eye on that if you couldn't, that's why. And I'll show you how to reset that because we're not actually wanting to import this into Next. So I'll show you how to do that. So, but it shows right now, not held by my library. So we'll click Set Holding and Export. Okay. I like to create a new list every time I export just because, or a new day. It just helps me keep track. I believe after 30 days, those lists are deleted from OCLC. So you'll want to, import them into Koha pretty quickly. So like I said, I'll do the day and that will be my title of my list, create and add to list. If you already had this list down here, say it was today's list, I'll show you how to import a batch actually. So we'll see how we add to that same list. But right now we're going to do create and add to list. So now, because we've done that, now it's showing that it's held by our library. So like I said, when you do that, that's when it kind of triggers that you own that record. So, all right, that's great. Now we've got um, another item we'd like to add. So again, ebook is the top option, but it's a physical item. That's not what we want. So double check the English version, correct year, correct pages. Um, And even though, and you'll see through your basic cataloging manual, sometimes even though it is a physical item, it will pull up, some people will add the ebook information to that item. And you'll see that with our basic cataloging manual, we get rid of all the ebook information because it's not applicable because we have the physical item. But we've decided this is the one we like, and we're going to do set holding at export again. But instead of clicking new list, I'm just going to click here and click add because that's today's list. And so now we have two items in that batch, but those are the only two that I want to um, export and then import into Koha. So we're going to click export lists. So here you'll see that past list. So you could um, export it again if you wanted to, but most likely you've already done that. If possible, I would, recommend trying to keep your workflow all together so you don't lose track of what you've done. But sometimes, you're interrupted and that's just the way it is. You have to come back. But like I said, it'll be there for, I think, 30 days. Yeah, see days left. You'll be able to see how many days left you have with that. So we'll do today's and up here, export. And we're going to do send to my computer. So you see, we had that file from Share It, same, it's downloads, and also now from Record Manager. Even though this is .mrc and this is .dat, both are fine to import into Koha. So now you see a bit of a longer process with OCLC to get to that download, but now that we're going to be importing it into Koha, it'll be the exact same process. It's just which file you select. So any questions before we move on from here? Oh, wait just a second. Okay, not seeing any. But like I said, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. So we have those in our downloads. So now we're going to go back to Koha. So go to More Cataloging, Stage Records for Import. Browse. So this is where we're selecting those files. So I'm going to choose this OCLC one since it's got two, just as an example. And you see here, it'll list that file name, upload file. And George has changed some things here for us. So set to AAA standard import. And when you do that, it switches everything as good to go. So you don't have to go through and click through everything like we used to in the past. So now we're going to hit stage for import, view batch. Okay, so we see our batch down here. We're going to import this batch into the catalog. Wait for that to process. Manage imported batch. Okay, so it's this one here. Okay, so what I like to do, I'm going to open these in a new tab. I like to have each imported record as a separate tab. Like I said, how you could be interrupted. I've been in the process in the past, I would be doing it all in um, one tab, and I'd be interrupted and I'd come back and I'm like, oh gosh, where am I in this batch of, 10 items? I don't remember what I've done, and then so that you have to go and just search for those items just to find the record because there's not items added to those records yet, and so it's just it can be a bit cumbersome. So I recommend if you are doing a batch, even just one, I would put it in another tab so that way if you're interrupted and you're like, oh, I need to look up this thing, it's very easy to use that page you were on within Next. So I would just have those ready and only close out those tabs once you've cataloged them fully. It just my recommended process. So let's see, library as safe haven. Um, let's look through here, give some quick examples. Um, let's see. So we've got, this is not our ISBN number, so we only want to have the one that we are using. I'm not doing the full in-depth cataloging, but just some quick things that we can see. First edition. We already knew that it was the correct size and pages and everything. Otherwise, we wouldn't have imported this record. 600s. I think we saw some French. Yep. So we're gonna get rid of that. And let's see. I think that is fine. I'm not seeing that's WorldCat entry, but sometimes there's online um, information added in the 700s as well as 800s, but you'll see that in your manual. Uh, yes, I did say that part of it in the subject headings in the 600s, there's often French especially if a record is created in Canada. Everything's in English and French. So within the subject headings, you'll have French subject headings. It's not going to hurt anything necessarily if you leave it in there. It's just going to kind of clutter up the record. And so since our records are in English, unless, the item is in another language, that is where you can make kind of that judgment call. Because at least the patron facing information would obviously be in that language of whatever that item is. But the subject headings is more how it's searched. So yeah, I guess I would if probably keep it in that language if it is like if it was a book in French, you would maybe keep those subject headings. And that's something we've been considering in general with our cataloging manual. So we'll be talking about that when we go through that again. Okay. And do we have any other questions before I save? I just kind of, like I said, I didn't do a thorough job, but just kind of things that caught my eye that I knew we needed to change. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, and so now we have the record, but we need to remember to add the item. So go to new item. Because when you're importing from the Z39 search, I think it goes directly to the item or adding the item after you've gone through your record to clean it up. So just an extra step, you want to remember to add that item. So go through your information. I will be deleting this from Koha, so don't worry, we're not going to have a book in here that we don't actually own. And I would put the price. So we're just going to go ahead and add this item like I had, you know what, it may make me fill out some more things. Hold on. We'll say it's $20. Okay. Barcode, what is it? Just, okay. Add item. Okay. So let me go to this record. I would search by barcode, but we had a test as the barcode. Okay, so now we have an item and everything has been imported from beginning to end. So it's unlikely that you'll be deleting records, but if for some reason you had to, you got through this whole process and you're like, oh my gosh, I imported the completely incorrect book, or now that I've done this, I realize that this is a AI generated book and it's not going to be useful in our collection. So what I need to do is delete this item first. So let me delete the item that we've added. And oops, I'm not going to be, hold on. There probably is a way to delete it from here, but I want to delete it from the page. Okay, now I'm going to delete the record. Okay. So I would like to delete this record as well because this is one that we added in that batch. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick before we forget. This shouldn't have any items attached. Yes. Okay. So we'll go ahead and delete that as well. Okay. Now I close out of those tabs because I know that I'm no longer working on those. So going back to Record Manager, when we look for these items now, we will see that they are owned um, by Nichols. So here, see, it's held by my library. So I mentioned that instance where it was added to your collection and for whatever reason had been removed, and now this item is popular again, or it's more so when it's like an item that doesn't have a newer edition and then becomes popular, kind of that transition period before those new ones can be re-released or published. So you may have that older copy that really was imported and then withdrawn from your collection. So, but we want to import it again because we no longer actually have that record in our catalog. So what you're going to do is click on it, go to WorldCat Holding, delete. And now it is no longer held by my library. So I'll do that one more time with this one here. Same searching process. held by my library, but it isn't. So I'm going to go to WorldCat holding, delete. And I wish, you could be like, well, I own that at one point. Can I export it again? But as you saw, after 30 days, those are deleted. So unfortunately not. Um, but that should be everything from beginning to end. Do you guys have any questions today for importing records? I know we really flew through that, but it's pretty repetitive. It's the same process over and over, even though it may seem like quite a bit from, going through Koha, then share it, then record manager, but it'll become old hat pretty soon. So I'll wait a few seconds, see if there's any questions. All right, I'm also going to stop recording here. Um, okay, is there a preferred source? The question is, when importing from the Z39 search, is there still a preferred source? There are. I don't have that list, but I can make sure to maybe talk with George and get a list of what is preferred. I know ones that I tend to gravitate towards are Ohio and Colorado. Um, they just tend to have quality records, but I'll double check with George to see what we can get an updated list for that as well. Um, and can I show how to download from Share It again? I can. Yes, let me show you that real quick. Okay. So, sorry, I need to hit share. Okay, let me get my chat available again. Okay. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I will go to advanced search. This might be the page that your guys's opens up to within Share It. Mine pops up to advanced. It's just settings that were set before I arrived, and you can always change the back end kind of stuff if you need to. So ask me about that if you ever have questions or if you want to rearrange things. But um, you want to make sure the Kansas Libraries is checked. Mine's unchecked. Yours most likely is already checked. Again, it's a weird setting that someone decided to set up ours with. Um, I'm going to go ahead and search for this item. Oh, need to change this to ISBN. We'll wait for those searches or the results to become available. I'm going to click on this. And like I said, scroll down to the MARC display to see if it's what you need or it's a quality record. So if you see something that's like bare bones and or a poor record, don't import it just because it's available. It might just be like you don't have a quality record and share it. Now you have to go look at OCLC and that's just the way it is. That's okay. It's better to have a quality record than to shoehorn something in as a poor record. So, but we've decided we like this record. So what we're going to do is just click download record. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And everything from there, we'll go back to Koha. That's when you start that cataloging process over. Cataloging is the exact process as record manager importing. Go to stage records for import, browse, and then now I'm going to click this one instead because that's the one I just downloaded. So exact same process. Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.